Hi, and welcome to this video demonstration of how I make sequins. In this video, I'm going to show you the tools and equipment that I use to make the sterling silver sequins, and at the end I will show you a few pieces that I've made using the sequins. I use a paper template glued onto the metal to maximize the layout of the circles. And this next tool is a riveting tool that I use to cut the centers out of the little circles, and I keep those centers for future projects. This is my disc cutting punch, and I've turned one of them over so you can see the sharp cutting edge. It's a lovely tool. I use it all the time. And those are the center finding tools, which help me line up the circles very accurately. You can see in the front here circles that sequins I've cut that have the paper still attached, and there is my heavy brass mallet. When I get a fresh piece of metal, I'll prepare it by peeling off the plastic protective layer, and then I'll glue with PVA glue my paper template onto the surface. And you can see that I lay those circles out very carefully to maximize the use of the metal. And in fact, that leftover piece I will keep and use in future projects anyway. I'm using the riveting tool to cut the centers out of each of the little circles. It's really important to do it as accurately as possible, otherwise the whole process would be flawed from the start. So I position the center punch on each of the little red crosshairs on my template, screw it down, and then one center is cut. Then I have to move it along and do the next one. As I said, it is a very slow process. In the close-up you can see how I position the little cutting edge onto the little cross that I've made on the template, and it takes a fair bit of force to turn that through the material. Even though the metal is only 0.3 millimeters thick, it cuts a really clean hole though, uniform size, so I like it a lot. But did I mention it's a very slow process? I don't like to waste anything, so under the vise I have hung a little container, and each time I cut a centre it drops down into that container, and then I can keep it for the future. I sometimes make little granules from them or use them as decorative elements in other ways. Now that the centres are cut, it's time to cut the sequins. So I'm going to use my disc cutting tool and my mallet to cut the sequins out one at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is position a little bit of shim opposite to the hole that I'm going to use to cut the sequin. It's got to be the same thickness to keep the tool balanced. And then I'm putting the center finding tool into the center hole that I've cut. Take it out, and I'm going to get the punch, a little bit of lubricant on it, and then position it in the hole. Give it a good whack with the mallet, and there's one sequin cut. Take it away, put it in this little container and start again. That red mat underneath the disc cutter is to protect the punches. You don't want to whack that nice sharp cutting edge into any hard surfaces or even the wood, because it will damage the sharp edge and then it won't cut properly. So it is a slow process, doing one at a time, but you get into a rhythm and it's a nice thing to do. It's kind of meditative, and slowly but surely you get there, making something beautiful and unique. Here's a close-up of the metal in the disc cutter. Now you could position it by eye, but it's not that accurate. So I use the center finding tool to line it up as carefully as I can. Every now and again they're a little bit off, but depending on how accurate I need them to be, that might be a good thing, or I might just need to find another sequin that is more perfect. The other thing that I do is always use the lubricant. Every time I go to cut another circle, I just give it a quick dab into the dry lubricant to protect the cutting edge and the disc cutting tool. I've made thousands and thousands of sequins over the years, and the punches still cut just as well as they did when I first got the tool out of the box. The sequins are cut, so now I have to get that paper off them. I do that by using a little bit of dish liquid and some warm water. Just give it a bit of a soak for a few minutes, and then the paper just comes off, or I just give it a little bit of a rub and they're all clean. I'm going to put the sequins into the tumbler for about 20 minutes or so, just to give them a bit of a burnish before I start assembling them into whatever piece of jewellery I'm going to make. They go into the rubber barrel. In the barrel there is steel shot, all different sizes and shapes, which just tumble over the silver, burnishing it down and making it nice and bright. I've added just enough water to cover the shot, and there I've just added a little bit of burnishing powder, and I'm going to close everything up and put it into the tumbler for about 20 minutes or so. It's cinema verita. Very.
Come on, gritty. Gritty. We want gritty.
I'm getting everything out of the tumbler now, just giving it a rinse, and now the fun starts where I have to pick the sequins out of the shot. So I'm going to lay them out on a piece of cloth and just sift through them, separating the shot from the sequins. And the shot goes back into the barrel and the sequins get dried, and then I'm ready to start making a piece of jewellery.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It just struck me. Because I was walking down this, walking Chapel Street yesterday, looking at the couple I think
I'm assembling some units for soldering. One chain link and two sequins form the starting units for my sequin strand necklace. Here are a few examples of the pieces that I make using the sequins. I've got my various sorts of sequin necklaces and some earrings where I use the components, and a very beautiful 18 karat gold and sterling silver necklace as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video demonstration and that you've learned something or you're inspired to make something yourself.